Good morning. About 20 years ago, I saw a cartoon in the newspaper that I have never, ever forgotten. There was this huge bird, like a big blue and gold Amazon parrot, sitting in an equally huge cage outside on a lawn. And the bird's talons were clung desperately to the front of the cage bars, its eyes wide open with terror, with a caption underneath that said, "Let me out of here." But here's the twist. At the back of the cage, on both sides, were two doors completely wide open. That bird wasn't trapped at all. It could have flown out at any time. And I wondered, why isn't that bird seeing it's got a way out? It could be free. And I realized at that very moment that this is also who we are as human beings. Hi, if you're new to my channel, I'm Dr. Connie Numbers, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about how all of us create our own self-imposed prisons based on the fears and beliefs we carry inside. But there's one emotion that has us marching straight into that prison without any hesitation at all. You do not pass go, you do not collect $200, you go directly to jail. And that emotion is regret. And today I'm going to show you how to recognize when you've stepped into that prison, why you feel the need to be there in the first place, and how you can free yourself from regret so you can walk yourself right out that open door. So let's dive in. The first thing I'm going to tell you is the best news you could ever get about regret. Are you ready? Because I'm so excited to tell you this. Regret is necessary. We see regrets as mistakes, and mistakes are necessary. You cannot grow without them, because every mistake we make, big or small, helps us know ourselves better, helps us to grow more compassionate and figure out what really matters. And it helps us to build the strength to make different choices next time. We need those mistakes. So like every other human being, you're going to make mistakes, which means you're going to have regrets. But you are not here to be perfect. You are here to live, to learn, and to love. And not only are regrets necessary, they are also evidence that you are a caring person and that you value love and connection and integrity. Because if you didn't care about what you said or didn't say, or you didn't give a hoot about what you did or didn't do, there'd be nothing to regret. So the very fact that you feel regret is an indication that you care about yourself and others. And lastly, the good news is regret is a powerful teacher. It carries deep wisdom, reminding us of what truly matters, and it gives us the opportunity to choose differently next time. You know, we learn about ourselves from regret. We learn who we want to be now and how we want to act differently so that if a similar occasion arises, we get a do-over. We learn from our mistakes. Regret becomes our teacher. So I'm not saying you have to be happy about having regrets, but you can be happy about learning from them because that's how you grow in wisdom. And without regret, we wouldn't have that opportunity. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so if regret is such a good thing, why do we choose to go to jail? Why do we think we need to be there? Well, from what I've seen in my experience, it comes down to two things. The first is this. We have this illusion, this fantasy, this story that we make up, actually, that somehow life would have been better if we had done or said something differently. I can so identify with that. For example, maybe if I had stayed longer in the relationship, things would have worked out. Or maybe if I hadn't stayed so long in that relationship, I wouldn't feel so depressed today. But here's the thing. You don't know that. You don't know the outcome of what would or could have been. You don't know if you had stayed in that relationship, if it would have worked out. You don't know that if you had taken that job, that you would have been happy. You don't know if you had been more patient with your kids, that they'd magically grow up without their challenges. You see, regret makes us think that the road not taken, what we should or should not have done, would have been so much smoother, when in reality, every road has its challenges. That other road could have brought you a whole different set of problems, lessons, and maybe even a different kind of struggle. I can tell you from my own experience that life will still have handed you growth moments, no matter which road you took. So it's important to stop punishing yourself for a storyline you've imagined that you can't possibly prove. Which leads us to the second reason you march yourself off to jail. And that is this: you believe you deserve to be punished. You think you need to pay for the crime. Many of us secretly believe that if we keep beating ourselves up about our regret, that we're somehow paying off a debt. Like, if I stay guilty long enough, maybe it makes up for what I did. But punishing ourselves never changes the past. It only keeps us stuck. And unfortunately, I know many people who have given themselves a life sentence for their regret and will stay in jail the rest of their lives. That's not you, is it? I hope not, because guilt doesn't pay off a debt. It just keeps the wound open. What really matters is letting go of the belief that you have to keep punishing yourself to make something right or different. So, my question to you is, when would now be a good time to stop that? So, if you're ready to step out of that jail cell, here's what helps me to break free when I put myself in jail, and I believe it can help you too. The first step is always this: you must find compassion for yourself. And here's how you do it. No matter the situation, whether you want to believe it or not, you are always doing the best you can with where you're at emotionally at that time. The key word here is emotionally. You may think, I should have done better, or I could have done better, or I should have known better. But the truth is, please listen to me. If you could have, you would have. If you could have at that particular moment in time, you would have. This is not as an excuse. It's a fact. There is always a reason why you didn't act as your best self in a particular situation. Maybe you were tired, exhausted, scared, overwhelmed, angry, or simply didn't have the insight you have now. Maybe old patterns were still running the show and you just acted out those patterns because they weren't healed yet. I have found from my own experience, as well as from sitting across from people for 40 years as a psychotherapist, that every choice we make in life is based on the level of awareness and emotional strength we have in that moment. So you don't have to punish yourself for that anymore. You did the best you could with what you had. That's where you were emotionally at the time. So you weren't being careless. You were just being human. And here's the real truth of it all. And it took me a while to really get this, but I so believe it with all my heart. Whatever happened, happened. And it couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. I know that's a hard truth to accept, but it's real. Whatever you said or didn't say, did or didn't do, that was the only version possible in that moment. So give yourself a break. Hey, give yourself a jailbreak. Find some compassion for who you were at that time and what you were going through. There's no need for you to pay for a crime that was not committed. So here is your get out of jail free card. Ask yourself this: what have I learned from this? What is the lesson here for me? What do I know now that I didn't know then? And yes, maybe the lesson probably is knowing that you would make different choices today than you made yesterday. Well, what a great lesson. But maybe the lesson is also one of self-love, to be easier on yourself, not only because you're human, but because you're a soul who's here to learn, not to be perfect. So as you step forward, remember this: your past doesn't get the final word on who you are as a person. Unless you're very comfortable in your cell, and the doors are wide open, by the way. And believe me, many people are. But if you'd like to have a respite from that kind of suffering, you must remember that every regret is simply an invitation to live more awake, to love more fully, to choose more wisely, and to stop beating yourself up for being human. So take a breath, walk out of that cell, carry the lesson, not the chains, and free yourself to love and to be loved without the weight of the past. Revel in the choices you make now. So if this message about regret spoke to you, I'd love to hear what lesson your own regrets have taught you in the comments so that others can find encouragement in your wisdom too. And don't forget to subscribe and like the channel if you will. And don't forget to ask any questions you might have, not just about this topic, but others, so I can start creating videos that meet your needs. And if you do know of someone who's carrying a heavy regret, please pass this video along. It might be the spark of freedom they need today. And once again, you will always have the opportunity to be free from prison when you can even start to believe that there is no one worth knowing more than you.